the best business opportunities and career opportunities will come from people you know, because people you know will like and trust you, and they'll refer you to other people that they know and they like and they trust. And that's the best way to advance a career.
Welcome to The Long Game. I'm Molly Acton. If you are a college student or a young adult trying to figure out what direction to take in life, you've probably realized something pretty quickly. Most of us are just trying to figure things out as we go. The idea behind this podcast is simple. Instead of learning every lesson the hard way, what if we could learn from people who have already spent decades building careers, overcoming challenges, and finding their way? Before we get started, I wanted to introduce today's guest. If you want to understand how careers and businesses are really built over time, today's conversation is a great example. Gregg Sandreuter is a commercial real estate developer and investor who has spent more than 30 years working in the Raleigh-Durham area. He is the managing partner of HM Partners, a firm focused on developing and investing in office and mixed-use real estate across the Triangle. Earlier in his career, Gregg was also a partner at Beacon Partners, where he helped grow one of the region's leading real estate development companies. In addition to his work in business, Gregg is active in the community and currently serves as chair of the YMCA of the Triangle. Gregg earned his MBA from Harvard Business School and has also shared his experience as a guest lecturer at UNC's Keenan Flagler Business School. Gregg, thank you so much and welcome to the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here, Molly. Thank you.
So later in the podcast, I want to hear more about where you are now. But first, tell me your story. What was it like growing up? And did you always kind of know what you wanted to do?
I had ideas about what I wanted to do, but one never really knows because life has different paths one goes down. But I grew up, my dad's job moved us around a little bit as a kid. He was in the, actually in the printed paper business. And so grammar school, we grew up outside Detroit, Michigan, and then outside of Boston. And then ninth grade, we were in Connecticut. And so I remember shoveling snow, delivering newspapers, cutting grass, washing cars. I remember during the gas crisis in the, I think it was 1974 and 76, if I've got my dates correct. That might have been even before that. I would sit in people's cars. They would go home and go back to sleep, and I would sit in gas lines waiting to pump ration gas into neighbors' automobiles. I would wait for 3 or 4 hours. Most people don't remember that time in American history. There was such a shortage of gasoline that you were allocated only 8 gallons, for example, a week. And so people had a tough time getting around, and so I would earn money just by waiting in line with someone's car for the pumps to open up. So I found all sorts of ways to make money, and just as a kid growing up, just making money was fun.
I mean, yes,
So that was kind of had my interest in business early on.
early on. I heard you had a painting business in college. So what was that like and how did that start up?
You heard that many rumors are flying around. So one of the ways that I thought that I could earn some more money, especially since I had to find a way to pay for college, was where I lived. There were a number of houses and in our small town of New Canaan, Connecticut. And what I found that I could do is, because I was a local kid who knew a lot of the families there, I could offer to paint people's houses, the exteriors and interiors, at a price less than the professional painters. So I would knock on doors, I would cold call, I would offer my services. I bought all the equipment like ladders and grinders and paintbrushes and things like that. Hired some of my friends to paint with me, and I earned enough money to pay my way through college, essentially, working summers, working 6 to 7 days a week, sun up to sundown. And so it was a lot of work in the sun, and but it was a ton of fun.
Do you find that work ethic influenced you later?
I hope it did. I hope it did. I think the notion I had, for some reason, I was a driven kid. And so I think I had a little bit of that work ethic in me, for better or for worse. And for the worst part is that I probably tended to work a little bit too much and needed a little more balance in my life. You think about work-life balance. I don't know that I had much of it back then. But what gave me a lot of great satisfaction was the whole process, whether it was finding the job, pricing it out, hiring the crew, supervising folks, working alongside them. But at the end of the process, what was most satisfying was doing a good quality job that would last for years and that your customer, the homeowner, would say, I am really happy with what you've done. It looks great. It's that sense of satisfaction, of
Yes.
accomplishment, of kind of reaching a destination you thought of in your mind, and also delivering a service or a product. It wasn't a product, but it was a service that people valued, and you establish a reputation for doing a good job and maybe even being a good kid. Then that was there was a lot of internal satisfaction with that. So it wasn't just work. It was sort of kind of building, in a way, it was kind of building an identity, but kind of building a purpose for being.
Absolutely. Um, so, okay, yes. So, when did you realize, was it after college when you realized you wanted to go into real estate, or how did that, was there a certain moment or decision, or was it like a gradual build?
I think it was a gradual situation, and I really didn't know what commercial real estate was. So I think in many ways I was a late bloomer. And because of that, um, when I was in college, I graduated from a little school up in upstate New York called Hamilton College, and went right into New York City and was very lucky to get a job at a large bank. Back then it was called Irving Trust, and I went through a bank training program there. And it was exceptionally valuable. I learned about financial accounting and balance sheets and credit. And yet I realized a large corporation just wasn't a great fit for me. And what I didn't know quite what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to make a change. So I was fortunate enough to go to business school. And in business school at that time, where I was, is that there were a few main tracks that students went down: consulting, investment banking, et cetera. And I didn't necessarily want to be in a chosen track where all of my peers went. I also was not sure what industry I wanted to get into. So I'm getting to your question. And so what I did is I employed a technique that I'd heard about called the Ben Franklin. Have you heard of Ben Franklin before?
I know who Ben Franklin is.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
know. I think about founding father, scientist, philosopher, publisher, great rational thinker. Well, what Ben Franklin reportedly did many times when he had a weighty issue to consider, like, what about this alliance with France, or is it wise to be in this war called a revolution against the greatest superpower on earth, the British government? He would take a blank piece of paper, write the issue or the question at the top, draw a line down the middle, and he would write the pros and cons, or the benefits and the risks on it, the good and the bad. And he said that magically what would happen is at the bottom of the page, the proper answer would appear to him. And clearly it wasn't written in magic, but just his rational mind. It helped him think through the best possible answer to to the question he was facing. And so I thought, if that was good enough for Ben Franklin, that's good enough for me. And so what I did is I put at the top of the page, not what I wanted to do because I didn't know, but I put what sort of experience do I want to have in my job, whatever it is, and what sort of experiences do I want to stay away from? What I want to gravitate toward, what do I want to stay away from? So the things I wanted to gravitate toward were things like I wanted to meet lots of different people during the course of my business day. I wanted to be out and about. I wanted to have a chance to create something that would outlive my natural life. I want to make a positive impact beyond just me. And it could be my community, it could be my neighborhood, it could be a city. I want a chance to earn more than just perhaps just a salary, maybe create some savings or some wealth. I want a chance really to define my own business day versus having it defined for me. So those were some positive things. On the opposite side, as you can probably already guess, were I didn't want to be tethered to a desk every day. I didn't want to report to somebody at all times and to be highly controlled. I didn't want to be highly specialized and know how to do only one or two things well, but wasn't broadly exposed and educated. I wanted to avoid the situation where I was working just for a salary and a bonus, where I was limited financially. I also wanted to avoid a situation where I may be doing a great job, whether in reality or perception, but I was part of a large organization that may have merged or been sold, and then maybe I'm 45 years old with a family and a mortgage, and I'm downsized and I'm out. I don't want to be dislocated. And so if you put all those things together, plus my experience painting houses and being my own boss, one of the few industries that came out of that was real estate. Because real estate was an industry where you can start small by buying a duplex on your own, or you can work for a company but have some ownership in a building. And there were lots of ways to get into it, but commercial real estate seemed to fit what I was looking for because my feeling was if Sunday night I'm excited to get to work Monday morning, I by definition am going to be very successful. Success broadly defined, broadly defined. And so I then thought, well, commercial real estate ought to be something I look into because it could help me avoid the things I like to avoid. And it can help me create not just the business day, but the life I want to create, not just Monday through Friday, but Sunday through Saturday.
Yes, that was
So when I
great.
was at college, actually when I was at business school, just after I had gone through that exercise, it must have been the universe aligning things. Is a fellow I literally bumped into this fellow at the career center up there, and he had a pitch, and his pitch was, "Hey, I'm in commercial real estate, and I want to find some young people who will lease office space on 100% commission." And so he said, I'll teach you the business. I'll teach you about property management, about the financial accounting. I'll teach you about supply and demand. I'll teach you about construction. And come to Raleigh for 2 years. I'll teach you the business. And after that, you can move from Raleigh, go to any city you like, and you'll be a partner. You'll be the managing partner in that city. He said, I'll set you up with capital and with asset management accounting. You hire your own people. You'll be a partner in that city. And he would own a minority piece of that business. And then over time, we would grow this super big real estate empire. And what's not to like? And as a 26-year-old kid, I said, well, gosh, I could take this job offer from Goldman Sachs, or I could go to Raleigh for 2 years. I'm going to Raleigh. So that's kind of how I got into real estate. So it wasn't terribly sophisticated, but it was
Oh, it
my
worked.
bumpy little path. And I am still here.
Oh my goodness. And so I'm always asked at family gatherings and everything what I want to do. And I don't necessarily have an answer. Clearly, I need to do a pros and cons list. But do you have any other advice for people my age in college who don't know what they want to do and are just exploring other options and career opportunities while in college?
While in college, correct?
Mhm.
I think a great thing to do. First of all, I'll caveat by saying you're kind to ask my opinion, and I like people to know that free advice is worth what you pay for it.
Okay.
So remember that. So it seems that when, first of all, when someone is of college age, my view is that it's very rare and it can't be expected that a young person can have really any knowledgeable idea on what they'd like to do. It's not fair to expect someone to know because they haven't had the exposure. So the wonderful thing about being in college or having just recently graduated from college, looking around, is the world really is your oyster. And you can try lots of different things. And the thing you just try first is not necessarily the thing you have to stay with. And it'll open up one's eyes to what do I like to do? What do I not like to do? What do I gravitate toward? Why not? What kind of people do I like to deal with? What kind of activities or functions do I like to perform? And so to me, it's about experimentation, number one. It's about, it's much better to have a job than not have a job. So always be doing something. And I think it's always good to be talking to people about what's next.
Okay.
And so I think that one of the most important things to keep in mind, I think, going forward for young people is to number one, always be focused on self-improvement, whatever that means for that particular person. But always try and build your skills and your knowledge and become a better you. And that's not just in terms of just how you treat other people, which is very important, being a kind, compassionate person, but also uh, developing, learning how to use Excel, correct?
Yes.
Reading about history. If you're in a certain line of work, studying that line of work and being expert at it, being the best you can be. And so in addition to self-improvement, as you can do it just outside of school, is meet as many people as you can and keep track of their names and what all digital tools we can use, right? In the old days, you had something called a Rolodex, which was a paper flipping kind of thing. I still call it a Rolodex, but we have Outlook today and contact,
Okay.
right? You can do that, right? And so, but build your network and just make relationships and just meet and get to know as many people because the best business opportunities and career opportunities will come from people you know because people you know will like and trust you and they'll refer you to other people that they know and they like and they trust. And that's the best way to advance a career. One can't really do it digitally. One has to do it person to person. So I think it's grow your network, talk to a lot of people, be curious. And then lastly, it's really simple, but just simple things like show up on time, be willing to do anything. If someone says, I need the floor swept, say, great, and sweep it and do the best job anyone's ever done sweeping that floor. Be willing to do anything that needs to be done, and stay late. A lot of people don't stay late anymore. Stay late, be the last person there, and work hard and have
So
some fun while you're doing it.
absolutely. That was great advice. So on another note, if you had to go back and do it all again, would there be anything you did differently? This could be back before college, or would you take the same pathway, or would you do something slightly different, or how would that work?
That's a good question. That's a both a philosophical and spiritual question, Molly, isn't it?
It
I
is.
think it kind of is. I think that one always has the benefit of hindsight, and so I think if one were to think about one's life in uh, a serious and circumspect way, yes, there would be things one would do differently. There'd be mistakes one would avoid. There would be opportunities one would have seized that they didn't. There would have things one would have said, or more importantly, did not say. Sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. And so, would there be things? I'm confident there would be. But when you ask me that question right now, I have a hard time saying that I would change anything. The reason is that, fortunately, I haven't had any catastrophic errors. Fortunately, I haven't been to prison, correct? Right?
Sorry.
Right? Nothing catastrophic like that. And so, but even if one goes to prison, there's always a second chance. One of the great things about America, it's the land of a second chance and of opportunity. But when I think about where I've been and just where I am today, I'm talking to you today, Heidi and Kate and Jill. Heidi's my wife for your viewers and listeners, and we have two daughters, Kate and Jill. They're happy and healthy and doing well. My brother and sister and mom are doing well, and I am. I think I'm braiding a few things here, and so. But I'm fortunate. I'm lucky. I'm blessed.
Yeah.
I can't imagine life having turned out better. Are there things to improve? Yes, but the path I took, as bumpy and as irregular that it was, it turned out wonderfully, and I could not really have planned it better.
Yeah, and I feel like all those little failures along the way, they get you to where you are now. So even though there were little
Correct.
mistakes, like they needed to happen.
Correct. And sometimes there are some big ones, right? And sometimes the big ones need to happen. And in one's life, everyone always has big, significant fractures in their life. It happens. It's what happens in the course of kind of human growth. And so, but that's, as you said, it's part of what gets us to where we're meant to be. And I think it helps if we can, even through the difficult times, maintain a positive attitude, have some faith, develop one's spirituality, and develop one's friendships and stay close to family. And so, no matter what happens, there's always kind of another page, there's another chapter. And so sometimes we do have to walk through the valley, but the sun does rise in the morning, doesn't it?
It does. Absolutely. So seeing how your path ended up exactly where you wanted to be, if someone specifically wanted to get into your field of work, into commercial real estate, what advice would you give them?
I think it's a dichotomy. It's a hard business to get into. It can be a pretty easy business to get into. So, Greg, what are you talking about? So let me talk about the hard part is that it's still an industry where even though there are larger companies that recruit, like in the banking industry, there's a lot of recruitment. In the consumer products industry, there's a lot of recruitment. But also, one doesn't need to work for a large company to get into real estate. And I go back to the example of a one small rental house. That's a way to get into real estate. Kind of what people have done. Many, not just hundreds of thousands of people, but millions of people, is they buy a little house as a rental house, and then they own it for 5 or 6 or 7 years. They earn enough equity to borrow against that and buy a second rental house. And after 20 or 30 years, they own 10 or 12, and they don't have to work anymore because their rents provide an income. And they may be a doctor, they may be a plumber, they may be a teacher, but they get into real estate by owning small residential rental properties. And it's a thing of beauty. And they've got to work nights and weekends, and it can be kind of hard. But if you're in the right parts of the country, we know what housing has done in the last 10 years. It's gone up in value generally, hasn't it? Correct. And
Yeah.
so if you bought houses, 10 to 20 years ago, you're probably sitting on some net worth and some nice rents. And yeah, you've got roofs to repair, et cetera, but still, it's a neat way to get into real estate. On the other side, there are companies that specialize in all sorts of real estate. And for people who really don't know about the industry, commercial real estate is about really virtually all of the buildings you see that aren't single family homes are rented. Some are
Okay.
owned by companies like Ford Motor Company owns a big factory where it manufactures cars. They own that typically. But an office building typically is been built by a developer and the companies in it rent their space. When you see big trucking terminals, big warehouses, like a UPS might be one or an Amazon, usually those companies rent the space that a developer has built, that a real estate developer has created. For retail shopping centers, usually, if you look at Walmart or you look at Kroger, for example, those companies rent space in buildings, and so it's just kind of interesting. And
Right.
so it takes people in commercial real estate to build those buildings, to hire the contractors and the architects to get it designed, to find the land, to get the zoning and entitlements from a municipality, to borrow the money, to raise the equity capital from an institutional investor. It takes someone to coordinate all those activities to get that shopping center built and then to rent it out to the nail salon, to the doctor's office, to the hamburger joint, to the grocery store, right, to the drugstore. And that creates an income stream that does what? Pays the bank debt and can make a return for your investors. And so by then interviewing with Prologis is one of the largest industrial warehouse building developers in the country. There's a group called Trammell Crow that develops all sorts of things like warehouses and office buildings and retail shopping centers. There are there's a group called Camden that develops apartment communities, and they do it all across the country. There's a group called Highwoods in Raleigh that develops office buildings primarily, and they have a big, huge portfolio all through the southeast of office buildings that they build and they rent out. And so you can go to these companies and they have all sorts of roles in all sorts of fields, in leasing, in property management, in accounting, in finance. And if you can get any one of those roles and get into real estate, that's a way to get in the flow, because once you're in the flow, you can always kind of shift the kind of job you're doing. But to summarize, one of the things, one of the greatest ways I think for people to get in the business and stay in the business and do well is I'm partial to this, and that's through the sales function to the leasing function, is to be the person who talks to the company and convinces them to lease space in a building, whether it's a trucking firm in a warehouse or it's a daycare in a shopping center. But convincing that, understanding what someone needs and say this space with its parking and its clear heights and its depth and the amount of build out we can give you, it becomes a good financial proposition for the rent they have to pay. So when one understands the leasing function, which is sales, one really understands the most important underpinning for the whole business, and that's to create rental income to support the old enterprise. So I like to encourage young people, if they don't know quite where, if they want to get into real estate and don't know quite where to enter, to try and get into a leasing or a sales function with a company that rents out space.
Yeah, it seems like there's such a variety of things you could do in that field. So I feel like you do not have to do the same thing every day, and I think that's what the beauty of it is. I had mentioned that people my age are always asked what we want to do, and we don't necessarily know. You have two college-age daughters. What do you think people my age worry about that we shouldn't worry about?
Great question. This, the thing that comes to mind is going to sound trite, and it doesn't mean to. But I think that when I say the thing, I think the thing, quote unquote, is that my perspective is it's all going to work out, and it's all going to work out fine. Then that's more of that's like worrying about the future.
Yeah.
That's what comes to my mind. Worrying about whatever your future is your professional future, is your personal future, is it the great unknown in years ahead is that the future is going to work out. And the way you can help it work out to best advantage you is to be a good, kind, honest, hardworking person of good character and integrity, to make friends and to be a good friend, to work hard, to show up, to be focused on self-improvement, exercise self-control, to know that your life is precious and important, and that you matter, and that you were put here to do something, and to be useful is very valuable. An unuseful person, no human being is unuseful, but some people are very purposeful in how they go about their day. So to be purposeful and be useful, and when you're useful, by definition, you're useful to others. It might be just the person next door, it might be people in your company, it might be to whatever enterprise you're associated with, but it's to be useful. And because I think that gives people a sense of satisfaction and centeredness. So I take, if someone can say, I'm not worried about the future because I know the future is going to work out, but I'm going to be the best person that I can be today. And I'm going to be even a better person tomorrow, person, broadly defined. And so, so when you say, Greg, specifically, what should we not worry about? I just think it's all going to work out, but just be sure you apply yourself in the direction you're going in. And especially try and keep that mindset when things at the moment feel like they're not working at all. Because there'll be lots of times when one encounters times where just that I feel I've done everything right and just I'm at a dead end in my job, or I can't find something I'm looking for, or it's not working. I think the notion is just try something different, try something new, talk to somebody different, meet someone new, but it's going to work out, but keep faith, it's going to be okay.
Yeah,
So
and that's what you can do.
I think that's all one can do. And I think it's the best thing to do because it also keeps one optimistic, and when one's optimistic, I think one's empowered.
Absolutely. I feel like it's really, as long as you keep a positive attitude, I feel like, and believe that things are going to work out, I feel like it will.
I think they will. I think you're on your way, Molly.
And then, so one of my final questions is, if someone listening today is early in their journey and feeling uncertain, what would you want them to know? This could be anything.
And what kind of things are they uncertain in? Did you intentionally mean that question to be very broad, which could be a good question?
Yes.
So they're uncertain about where they are in their journey.
Yes.
I think it goes back to apologies for repeating myself, but just that things are going to work out. I do think if someone's feeling uncertain in their journey, is that I would try to offer them encouragement that number one, there's not one single defined future that they have in front of them. There are many possibilities. And so to seize on the mental, emotional notion that there are lots of possibilities that one can take advantage of, and that things are going to work out. And number two, in order for things to work out for the best, is that you have to try. And so do best to keep a positive attitude, to get up in the morning, to apply yourself, to improve yourself, to be useful. Some of the same themes are kind of coming back. And so, but I feel like I'm now repeating, you gave me a different question, but I think I'm repeating my prior answer. So you may want to ask the question again to me a little bit differently so I can provide a better answer, or at least some different verbiage to your question.
I mean, I feel like what you answered in the previous question really kind of encapsulates if a person is feeling uncertain or worried or anything. I guess I could ask, if, for me, I'm surrounded by college students, and a lot of them, me included, feel lost and not necessarily sure what to do next. And there's not necessarily a path I'm taking because I don't have a career yet. So I guess if I'm feeling lost and not sure what my exact next step is, would you just say to keep waking up in the morning, keep trying, keep believing everything's going to work out? Or is there something else that I could be doing, even though I don't necessarily know what I'm going to be doing?
Perfect. Great. So now I do have some advice. Again, this might be free advice is worth what you pay for it. But in that, thank you for focusing me on that. And so I think then what comes to my mind is start meeting people.
Hmm.
And I think the more, so if one doesn't know where one can go next, what to do next, where can I go? Just start talking to people.
Okay.
So, and that to me, start introducing yourself to people you don't know. So if you're in college,
Hmm.
there are so many alumni from from colleges who would love the chance to talk to a young college student,
Hmm.
not just to talk to reminisce about their old college days, but that young student may say, listen, just like you said, I'm not sure where I should go next. What should I do after I graduate? I have no idea. But if one talks to some alumni, you could have sessions like this, correct? And you'll meet an alumni about your dad who's in the dentistry business.
Right.
I'm in the commercial real estate business. You'll have alumni who are in theater and work on Broadway, who are attorneys and have argued a constitutional law case at the Supreme Court. You'll find people who are in the nonprofit world who help the homeless. But by just talking to people, that to me is get busy, get active, do something. So you have to have faith, but you have to put faith in motion. You have to make it active. And so I think the best thing to do is to grow your network. And sometimes it's hard for people to cold call others you don't know, but
Hmm.
practice cold calling. Practice just introducing yourself to people you don't know. And so one can get through the through the career counseling office or through the alumni directory. Just
Hmm.
start introducing yourself to people. And once you talk to people, just say, I just want to know about your career, what you did after college. I'm looking for some advice. What kind of jobs do you think are great? You'll find so many people will want to help a young person find their way. And they'll say, I'm so glad you called. And I talked to you for half an hour and I like your spunk and I like your enthusiasm. And we come from the same school. And now that I think about it, I know somebody who has an opening, a junior opening in in this type of company. He's my neighbor and he's been looking for a bright young person who's going to work hard. I think you'd be that person. Let me introduce you. And
Yeah.
that's how things happen. So I think one of the greatest things to happen when one feels a little stuck is to start just talking to people. Introduce yourself to folks, ask them what they do, ask them if they have advice for you. Ask then, what's really important, do you have another person you could introduce me to? Can you introduce me to somebody else who'd be willing just to talk to me? Not necessarily about a job, but to give me advice on getting one. Because the line of give me advice on getting a job and perspective, that can open up other people's notions in a very um, um, simple, kind of non-threatening way of, okay, I'm not being asked for a job, but now I might be able to help this person get a job and maybe I even have one for them.
Mm.
So I just think that talking to other people as much as you can and introducing yourself, look them in the eye, firm handshake, take them out for a cup of coffee. If you're distant, you can have a phone call or a Zoom call. Keep talking to people and build on it.
Yeah, I feel like the networking piece has been very important in college, and I've realized that even after 7 months of being there, it's crucial. So before we close, is there anything I didn't ask that you think I should have, or that you wanted to speak more on, or anything?
I just think you've asked so many great questions, and to think you'd ask me to think I have anything interesting to say to you and to your viewers is wonderful. So I think you've covered the waterfront.
Okay.
But I really am I'm excited you've embarked on this project, number one, and I'm excited to hear when you talk to others. I'm
Mhm.
excited to hear and listen in on what they say so I can learn something. And
Yes.
and I think you're really I think you're providing kind of a neat lens for a lot of people to be able to have encouragement that they're perfectly capable of achieving some great things and they're going to find some great careers. And it's a matter of just getting out there, meeting people, and finding their first thing. And you can jump on the first lily pad and stay there for a while, or then jump to the second, third, and fourth. That's all okay.
Yes. Well, this is amazing. You offered some great advice, and I know it helped me, so I know it's gonna help some other people. So thank you so much for taking the time today. This was great.
This was terrific, Molly. Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. I hope to see you
Thanks
soon.
so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.